Welcome to the Maritime Vision YouTube channel hosted by Paul Louis Holy. In this YouTube channel, we engage with industry experts to gain insights into every aspect of the maritime industry. From shipping to yachting and beyond, we explore the latest trends, challenges, and opportunities in this dynamic field.
Hello everyone, welcome to this new podcast episode. And today in this podcast we are with Conor. Nice to meet you, Conor. Welcome to this new episode, and thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So maybe can you present yourself, talk about maybe your background?
I'm situated here in the south of Sweden. I'm Irish originally. My wife and I have a small family business together, assisting the maritime industry with transition. Previous to this, I worked for Maersk for many years on the shore in management and also offshore in the oil and gas field and aboard ships before that. So over those 30 years or so, I had a lot of different experiences, most of them operational. And then 3 years ago, I joined Sophia, and we are now trying to use our experience in the industry towards helping it make a transition to a more sustainable future.
Okay, interesting. And why did you choose to work in the maritime industry?
Well, I grew up here in the south of Ireland, and you can see where I grew up. I was faced with all these islands out here. My parents had a yacht charter company down there, so I've been on the sea as soon as I was born, almost. And it's like a family sickness, you know. You end up in the industry somehow. And like my grandfather was at sea, my father was at sea, my brother's a naval architect. So in some ways, you know, this can be a kind of something that goes through families.
True.
And there wasn't a great deal of, you know, there's not a huge amount of employment down where I grew up, and I was going to have to move somewhere. And I kind of, ended up at sea, you know. It sounds great, but...
Wow. Okay, interesting. I've seen on your profile you worked with Maersk. Can you just describe a little bit this experience?
Yeah, so when I was in nautical college, there was a firm actually in the UK that used to come recruiting cadets for the various shipping companies, and we were offered some different companies, you know. They were presented to us to see if we were interested, and I was interested in Maersk because at that time Maersk had a lot of different types of ships, and I didn't really want to go solely in a shipping company that had oil tankers, for instance. Or just ferries. So I chose Maersk, and through my seagoing career at Maersk, I worked aboard initially actually bulk carriers that were carrying wood, which the company, a business the company left after that. But I was on container ships and ro-ro carriers, and a lot of time on chemical gas and gas tankers.
Okay, understood. And so. Why did you choose this specific kind of vessels? Because of the market was very dynamic at this time?
I had no choice. The company, when you're training and when you're an officer, seagoing, you know, seafarer, you don't normally have a lot of choice about what type of ships you sail on. You are kind of told it's your job. You need additional qualifications to sail on specific types of ships. So for gas tankers, you need a gas endorsement for your certificate of competency, and for oil tankers and for chemical tankers, and for offshore vessels which use dynamic positioning, or other vessels that use dynamic positioning, you need special courses and endorsements for that. So, so the company, if the company, you know, kind of chooses you to sail on their gas tankers, they have to make sure you're properly certified, send you on a course, etc.
Okay, interesting. And after Maersk, after this experience, you decided to become a consultant?
Yeah, so I ended up doing many years working offshore in a floating storage and offloading vessel for LPG, located in West Africa. And that was very interesting, and I got some ship handling experience there, which was kind of pilotage, which was unusual. So I really enjoyed that, although it was terrifying, but I really enjoyed it. And then I went ashore to work on a specific body of specific task in the office, and I ended up staying there, and I ended up managing the asset I used to work on. And then the Maersk divested all the energy business, which is a process which is only really completing now. But at that point, I was offered a position back in the container side of the company. And on the other hand, I had just completed an MBA, and I was looking at really the purpose, what I wanted to do with the rest of my career and my life. And I talked to Sophia. We looked at some strategy, what we could do together, and we decided to go in together and see how we could put our experience towards the industry for transition. And this is very different.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Something is very different.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but there are some things you bring with you which apply everywhere. And one of them, of course, is it's good, I think, to have many years working in a corporate or in a company which isn't a consultancy, and then try and consult to them, because you understand a better chance of understanding their pain points and drivers and challenges.
Okay, interesting. On what kind of transition are you working on? I mean, the sustainability, the digitization?
Yeah, so the shipping industry, from my understanding, is going through all of this at the same time. It is trying to digitalize. And one of the interesting things about that is that the industry is not very transparent. And one thing that digitalization does is it improves transparency. And a company which is digitalizing, which is a very broad word, but a company that is digitalizing may decide to share some of the information, may decide to keep it in-house, may be forced to share some of the information. But we are increasingly seeing a strong connection between real sustainability, as in not greenwashing, but real sustainability and increasing transparency.
Do you see a greenwashing in this industry right now? Or it's not as, for example, the car industry? I know greenwashing, this is everywhere. But in the maritime, is it something very common?
Funny thing about greenwashing is it's kind of talked about like it's an intentional behavior. But I don't think that. So what's the driver for greenwashing? It's largely ESG, which is a financial term regarding exposure of risk to your environmental, your social, and your governance behaviors. And it is usually seen in terms of risk with a sideline of opportunity. And that's ESG. It's quite a cynical financial entity in reality. However, we would see ESG as a way of framing sustainability in the way it should be taken. So if you say someone's greenwashing, they may have been looking at their ESG profile, finding it a little weak, and then they try to say, okay, but great, but what are we doing right? Okay, we're doing this good, we're doing that good, let's talk about it. And then they talk about it, and then they're told they're greenwashing. And then they're like, oh, come on, so it's a little bit like, I think we have to be fair to the people in the corporate positions who are trying to identify where they are, because
yes, if not,
the whole world is trying to become sustainable. It's generally not sustainable, and they're trying to figure out how to, show the world what they really are, and what they say may be largely true. They may leave out little pieces of information. Like one good example is, and since I've been working in this kind of sustainability area for the last 3 years, I've learned so much. I'm not a sustainability practitioner. I don't have any qualifications, etc. So I've had to kind of absorb it as much as I can. I have one qualification now, but you start to look at coffee in the supermarket. And coffee is, for example, and they have all these little symbols on them. Rainforest Alliance and Krav here in Sweden, which is a very good level of sustainability, etc. And then you look at the Rainforest Alliance stamp on some of the packages, and it says 30% Rainforest Alliance. you know. But when you read something on a shelf, do you read all the small print? And this goes back to transparency. And the shipping industry has a little struggle. I know this conversation is maybe going off in another direction, but certainly it's a very interesting side to shipping.
Yes.
You know?
What are you doing, like, to, how can I say, maybe to increase this transparency to, what is your fight, I can say?
So that, of course, is just one part of our thinking. We are so that's we're not digitalizers. We're not this is not the core of what we do. We are looking at things strategically mainly. So what can a given company do to reduce the greenwashing, speak candidly about what they do, increase their transparency. Okay, that's a small part of it, but there's a whole range of decarbonization is being talked about all over the place in the industry. It's the big topic now. We have MEPC 80 in July, and a huge effort going in that direction.
But are you optimistic about it, about the future in terms of sustainability, or you're like completely pessimistic, like it's a complete mess right now?
I think on a global level, I find it very hard to be optimistic. And in fact, I think that sometimes I think that it must be nice to be ignorant and to just carry on with life and see it as somebody else's responsibility. But it's like we have a saying offshore and on ships, you see it, you own it. So that means if you're walking down the deck and you see something loose and it's unsafe or might get washed overboard or might cause injury, you've seen it. It's your responsibility to fix it. Even if you don't do it yourself, you have to tell someone about it. Whatever. So the you see it, you own it is very much part of my my identity. So now that the more I learn about the sustainability, the environment, everything attached to this, the SDGs, it's like, oh no, I feel responsible for it. I can't just go. That's so I think that there is a big psychological demand on people who are aware of the kind of condition of the planet and the way we're heading. I am not. I find it hard some mornings to be optimistic. I read things in the newspaper. We subscribe to The Economist. The Economist is quite good in kind of tearing myths apart.
Yeah. True.
I was recently invited to a session with the Sustainable Ocean Alliance around dealing with stress from climate realization, for instance. And I think that it's easy to dismiss my generation compared to yours and say, oh, well, you're not going to be around to kind of have to deal with it much. It doesn't feel like that to me at all. I have kids and I'm really worried about them. So.
I'm young and I'm very worried about the future, to be honest with you. Every time I try to see where I need to be, what I need to do, because I know the future won't be as easy as now, even with pension. I come from France, so right now that's the best big deal. So that's things very important, but I think I need to stay optimistic, because if not, you always overthinking, and that's not the goal.
Yes, that's right. We need to stay optimistic and try to focus on what we're doing here and now and do it best we can, because otherwise it can be.
Yeah. Yes. To go straight to the point, in your opinion, what is the best measures we can do to increase sustainability for the 10 upcoming years in the maritime industry?
I think that a phrase I've heard is we need to start having grown-up conversations. There is no technological silver bullet. There is a raft of solutions emerging out there at the moment, and the one thing, and I think it was Remy Eriksson, the CEO of DNV, said this a few years ago, and it was Sophia who was reminding me of it. But collaboration is the secret sauce of shipping transition. And we certainly have seen that, particularly cross-sectoral collaboration between the shipping industry and like horizontally. And also the shipping industry has perhaps a unique way of contacting its clients and its suppliers, which come from all kinds of, like, shipping intersects with every other industry. It is over 90% of everything has been on a ship, right? Yes. So when you think about it, shipping has the ability to change, to be a catalyst for a lot of other industries. Steel, cement, the mining industries, all those that are also trying to decarbonize. And okay, of course, it's like scope 3 for them. Shipping is scope 3, it's their transport emissions. But they can get involved in these conversations and they can find points of shared value. And we have actually seen that, firsthand. We have seen, we'll talk to our clients about that and see if we can find some way where we jointly can create a circular, so make a circular case out of something which is just wasteful at the moment. Or, talk about greenwashing, share stories. And, so one good thing about, if you like, greenwashing is at least people are telling stories about the good they do. At least it's like, it's out there. If you go back 5 years even, and you listen to the way the companies advertise, all they talk about is how sustainable they are.
Yes.
So people are demanding it, So I think that shipping, for the next 10 years, one of the most important things they can do is start to collaborate. They'll have to collaborate to secure sources of alternative fuels. They'll have to collaborate to secure business cases for alternative fuels, like with the development of green corridors. They'll have to collaborate with each other to share the demand, etc. So I feel that changing the mindset, this very compartmentalized competitive mindset in shipping, has to happen.
Okay.
And regulation may force it to happen.
Yes, because it's we talk a lot about hydrogen ships, for example, or solar panel, things like that, but it's still some prototype. It's not very concrete, I can say. I don't know if in the next 10 years it will be exactly this kind of ship we will have, or something completely different, because every day we have new technologies. So
looking at the purest form of alternative energy, putting sails on a ship is like the most obvious and straightforward thing to do. You get your fuel at source, it's free and it's constant, but people don't like it because it's variable. But in fact, we can predict wind better than we ever could, and we can route ships better than we ever could. However, it doesn't, the sizes, the way that we size and the way that we trade today is not very compatible with wind. It's more, that's why we're seeing wind as being a wind assist, as an efficiency measure in that way.
Okay.
And some people, when you talk about sailing ships, they immediately think of square riggers, before, the 1800s and before, and they have a kind of a mental model of that. But it's not fair comparison. It's like comparing a modern Ferrari with a steam car in 1890. It's just a totally different concept. We can make things sail way better these days.
Sure.
So that's the most obvious thing. And then the other contenders, we have methanol, which is made from biogenic carbon, and we have ammonia, which is made from renewable energy. And then you have kind of other fuels like fully renewable biofuels, which are like not causing land use change, which are made from waste, etc., synthetic natural gas, etc. So there's a lot of options there. And there's a lot of people with pens and checkbooks waiting to invest. But the problem we have is we don't have the signal from the International Maritime Organization yet to say this will be the only way, eventually by 2040, and it doesn't have to all come in like that. It's going to be
we don't have a direction.
But so the people can say, okay, we're going to sign up for this. We're going to, invest a couple of billion or whatever, and in 5 years' time, it'll be producing. We'll be supplying it to ship owners who have built the ships or converted the ships to take this fuel, and it is happening because the regulation is in place, and it is the future. Okay. So we have to have this basic signal from the regulators and the policymakers to demonstrate this is happening. And so far, we have it from the European Union. We have inclusion in the ETS, but that's part of a greater story. There's still a lot more to be done.
Yeah, sure. And what about the lobbies? I mean, for example, you're talking about sales, but the problem if we use sail, we don't use fuel anymore. On the country who produce fuel, maybe they are not agree about it. They want to sell the fuel to make million, to make billion. That it can be a big challenge too, because some people doesn't like sustainability because of this reason.
Absolutely, and one of the barriers in the International Maritime Organization is the countries that feel that they will be marginalized and have a big disadvantage because of change to alternative fuels. And they are very, very valid points. If we go back to the Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals, climate change is one of them, and none of them operate individually. None of them. You cannot just say we're going to transition the shipping industry to low carbon fuels, and that's fine. You can't do that and disadvantage human rights and people's rights to power and education and economic development, and it has to be moved together. And this goes back again to what I was saying about collaboration. This is like so much more collaboration is needed to make this happen together.
Sure. Interesting. So do you want to add something else? Something to say? Word of the end.
We are slowly growing our company. We will have someone else joining us fairly soon. We are at the moment we have an intern doing some short work with us, and we would be happy to talk to people if they're looking for an internship, if they've some specific. But it would be good if it relates to their studies, as in their thesis or something like that. We would be delighted to work with someone who would like to spend some time doing sustainability related work with us.
Okay.
So you're welcome to reach out.
So thank you very much, Conor, for this interview. It was very interesting, and I wish you a very pleasant day.
Thank you. It was very nice to talk to you. I hope I was of some use.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.